Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Cutter Degrassism. I know it's been a long time since I've done a Degrassi video, but I haven't really had any great topics or anything, so I've been kind of in a rut, which is unusual for me. As you can see, there's a new setup involved because I'm transitioning to a laptop from a PC, so this is the laptop's webcam, and with the audio, with their microphone. So anyway, I know this is a topic that I've been doing too many videos on if you watch my Degrassi stuff, but I figured that there was something puzzling going on with me. So I did a post on Degrassi Reddit 4 days ago, and this is being taped on February 28th, 2024 for context. And I did a post saying, do you guys think that Raditch was telling the truth when he said his hands were tied about letting Rick back in? I wrote, both sides provide a good argument. If it's a yes, then it's understandable, as I think Raditch probably wanted to prevent Rick from coming back, but due to no police involvement and no feedback from the school board, on the contrary, he had to let him back in. If it's a no, then the argument is that Raditch failed the school by letting Rick back and turning his so-called back on the students, who told him that was a bad idea, and he probably thought that Rick wasn't going to cause trouble, but he certainly did. So I got some feedback on it. And before I tell you my personal actions, actually, before I talk about the comments, I should give some context to the whole thing. So anyway, it's Mercy Street, the third episode of season 4, and practically that, everything seems to be fine. And then Paige and her crew decided to, see something disgusting. And it was Rick with his mom and Mr. Raditch. And of course, we all know about the Rick situation from season 3, that he put Terry in a coma and got away with it, presumably scot-free. Emma comes in and notices things and basically said that what's going on. And then Paige and Spinner explain to Emma about Rick Murray putting Terry into that coma and all that. And because he failed a year, he's going to be in the same grade as Emma. So Emma has to watch her back. So Emma wants justice for what's going on and all that. And so when Rick attempts to talk to Paige about the situation, nothing happens. And then Emma basically blocks Rick from going anywhere. And Raj says, Emma, please let him move. We don't want him at our school. This is not one of your stupid crusades. Stay out of this. I'm warning you. Let him through. I think that Raj is just basically upset with Emma and her crusades and all that. And then Rick tries to walk to Paige again, but Paige goes off to the bathroom crying. And then Emma sees her in the bathroom, and Paige tells her that there's a monster in our school and no one's doing anything about it. So Emma comes up with this orange ribbon campaign to not break any rules, but to try to force Rick out. Unfortunately, that fails miserably. All it does is make Rick being bullied. But the main point is about Raditch. He doesn't get involved until Time Stands Still Part 1, when Rick goes into his office to talk about Jimmy being put on the Wacky Rain team in place of Heather Sinclair, who's dealing with mono. And Raditch doesn't take Rick kindly. Rick says that Jimmy is not being my friend. He makes no qualms about it, and he hates me. And Raditch says, what am I supposed to do? Make him your friend? It takes two to tango, Richard. You gotta do a better job of making friends and all that. I can't force someone to be your friend. Of course, Raditch gets it wrong. But the fact is, Rick also gets it wrong, because Rick told Raditch these things and didn't say the magic words bullying or hurting him. Because then Raditch probably would have taken Rick at face value with it being a concrete thinker. And Raditch probably would have come back to me with something serious happened, or basically says that next time this happens, tell me with proof. I think Raditch just wanted proof, but Rick didn't really have the proof. And then Raditch would have done something about it. But he didn't. So anyway, Um, Rick gets painted and feathered with a prank thanks to Spinner, Jay, and Alex. Raj goes on the PA system in Time Standstill Part 2 and basically blasts Degrassi for everything, saying that this is embarrassing, what's going on, and he basically wants justice. He wants someone to tattle on them. And then, you know, Spinner tells Jimmy everything by bragging about it, and then all of a sudden, Rick comes back to the school with a gun, gets talked off the ledge by Paige, puts the gun in his locker, but then gets talked back onto it thanks to Spinner and Jay, and then, shoots Jimmy and all that, and nearly kills Emma before Sean saves the day. So, of course, Raditch is dealing with a stubborn Snake who basically tells Snake that he needs to do better, especially in that deleted scene that they stupidly cut out. When he tells Raditch, you want him to leave the school in the afternoon? What's that going to accomplish? He can't do more harm here if he isn't here. And then Snake blasts Raditch saying, what's your contingency plan? And Raditch says, it's not preschool, daycare. Well, I say preschool. It's not daycare, and making friends is not part of the curriculum. And Snake huffs. But anyway, Snake makes a good argument. So does Raditch. But of course, things come to a head, and Raditch and Snake have another argument in the media room. Raditch says, how was I supposed to know someone was going to overreact to some paint? I have 700 students. And Snake says that he's been to your class twice, and you've blown him off. So basically, they have a massive argument and all that. Spike interrupts it. And then, Raditch has to figure things out. He opens up the school on the Monday for grief counseling, and then he has the audacity to cancel Dracula, saying that the school needs more PR, good PR. And unfortunately for him, Liberty and JT take him to task over it. He overreacts by sending him to detention, and then he's reassigned by the school board. So, yeah, I'm going to let you guys know about the other people involved. All that. Lingoberry Lost said, even if he did have an agreement with Rick that if he did anything, he'd be gone, what did Rick do wrong between the time he came back and the shooting? Be bullied? I hate Rick as much as the next guy, but Raditch's hands were tied. So, yeah. Algren the Blue said, the school board had the final say in it. Raditch didn't want to allow him back. What I'm assuming happened is Rick's mom approached Raditch. He said no. She said she would take it to the school board and threatened to sue the school if they didn't let Rick back, because the incident with Terry happened in school grounds. She probably had a decent arm against the school. To that I say, I doubt that, in a sense. I don't think she would have pressed the suit. And, I mean, after all, in Time Standstill Part 1, she said she wanted Rick to go to another school and all that. So this comment actually does contradict what she said in Time Standstill Part 1, because she wanted Rick to go to another school. So, yeah. Someone said, I was at the impression that the school board had the final say in letting Rick in. Personally, I don't think Raditch didn't try hard to prevent Rick from returning to Degrassi. Yeah, I would say that too. I don't think Raditch tried that hard. I think it is. Let's said the school board said that alternate device said maybe, but he still had a responsibility to ensure Rick of his future in the school. No guidance counselors or sessions with teachers, nothing. Rick was set up to fail, and because of the circumstances of the students, he had no chance of bouncing back or starting over. Maybe he shouldn't have been allowed back in the first place. But if he was getting help outside the school, and Raditch saw the progression, why not give him a second chance? He just never followed up on Rick after he came back, and that's the whole issue. To that comment, I say it's possible. All that. Let's see, what else? Chubb says, as for why he wants to come back to Degrassi, Rick talks to Emma about it in the episode Mercy Street, and where he comes back. He said he wants to prove to everyone that hates him that he's changed and is a good person now. He's confident that in time he'll win them over. He didn't change at all. He just said the right words to sound reasonable to a well-meaning person. And then people said, well, his parents failed him in a sense. Yeah, but like his mom said in that one in the episode, and Toby heard that comment about she wanted Rick to change schools and all that, and knew that the decision was up to Rick. So that's what I think it was. Someone said Rick had a warped perception. He told his mom he was becoming good friends with Jimmy and Emma when they were just trying to tolerate him for the team. They were being polite to him, but that's a far cry from friendship, and said that Emma loved him. She didn't reciprocate his feelings. Well, that's obvious. I mean, he was being good friends with Jimmy and Emma. Like, Rick figured everything was going to be okay, and he was living in his own world that basically he can get away with it and that he can't get hurt by it. Aloha Reddit said, it's canon that he had no choice. I would always say that we as the audience have an advantage that causes our perception of war. We know what happened, but we don't know what Raditch has been told. Did Rick tell everyone, yeah, I did it? Or did he say she fell and I had no part in it? We know what happened, but Raditch is getting the he said, she said information. And Aloha Reddit thought that there was a deleted scene that Raditch admits to not wanting Rick back. No, it was not in the deleted scenes because I checked every deleted scene in season 4. I'm one of the biggest Raditch defenders here. That's what Aloha said. No, I like him. I just don't see how he could have prevented it based on what we know. Aside from helping Rick when he got bullied, the decision was out of Raditch's hands. And Agent Sparkle said, the thing is, well, schools have a zero tolerance policy in regards to violence. What happened to school grounds is out of their hands. Even if Rick did admit during Terry, and a police report had been made, they can't deny him entry to school over that. A private school could, but a public school can't really have grounds to expel him. So, yeah, that's a weird sense of reality. But here's how I take it. The fact of the matter is that, looking at it through other perspectives is that, yeah, Raditch probably, if we wanted to say yes, Raditch should never have let Rick back. And we all know that. But was Raditch lying when he said his hands were tied? I mean, if you believe, yeah, his hands were tied. Maybe his hands were tied, but he didn't do a good job of protecting the students. I think it's a double-edged sword. That, to me, when I look at it and I look at stuff again, it's like, yes, Raj may have had his hands tied, but no, he didn't help the students out when it mattered most. And that's probably what it was. Everyone agrees with the philosophy that Raditch couldn't do anything about it, even if he wanted to do something about it. And maybe he did have an inkling about Rick. That, without a criminal charge, as he explains to Marco and Alex in the deleted scene, I can't really do too much. But, of course, Raj probably might say it in a way to try to get people off his back. But if that was the plan, then he failed miserably. So anyway, do I think Raditch had his hands tied? Yes, I think that Raditch did have his hands tied. Because it happened off school grounds and he couldn't have done anything about it. But the fact of the matter is that, he said it so his actions speak louder than words. And his actions were that he didn't help protect the school from Rick as much. And, he had to deflect blame and had to figure out what to do about the whole Snake situation because Snake was pestering him. So what I'm thinking is that, you know, Raditchs did wrong and all that. And yeah, the school board probably told Raditchs to let him back to school. But there was nothing against Raditchs saying, well, why doesn't he just go to another school? I mean, if it's not Degrassi, it should be something else. And he should have had this fresh start at another school. And then, not bump into Degrassi and then let Degrassi wear themselves out. That's what Rick should have done. But in any case, I think Raj did have his hands tied with the situation. And that's what it was. He needed control and he got his control. But the school didn't like it. I mean, like it or not, Rick was there to stay. And, he had to do what he had to do. So that's what happens. And I think Raj did have his hands tied in the situation. Fight me on it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.